Well, Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs and well-known analyst now on international affairs, joins us. Ambassador Bhattacharya, do you see Trump being put under pressure from Europe and NATO, as Russia suggests?
Well, Trump's position has certainly evolved over the months. You would recall that he had said that he would bring peace within a few hours, within a few days of assumption of office. And to be fair, he did put in a very significant effort. But it appears that the kind of package that both Russia and Ukraine want may be somewhat different from what the Europeans want. And it does appear that Trump, who was not in favor of providing heavy weaponry, modern weaponry to Ukraine, is now beginning to think otherwise. So today's statement comes in the wake of the NATO discussions that had taken place some time back. And as we know, the European Union is having its council meeting right now on the 18 sanctions package, and Kaja Kallas is actually shepherding a new measure for action against Russia. Meanwhile, the drone attacks from both sides have mounted up. I do notice a sense of frustration, and Mr. Trump did mention it as well, that he was frustrated with the kind of reaction he was getting from the Russian side. But putting an ultimatum and tariffs and secondary tariffs even possibly is a fairly significant measure.
Indeed. Let's talk about that a little bit, about the secondary tariffs. How far can trade be used as a weapon against Russia? Now, the Senate is suggesting secondary tariffs of 500% on countries doing business with Russia.
Well, to be frank, I think the countries that are doing business with Russia include many in the European Union as well. Because as you're aware, the European Union has not really totally removed its purchase or imports of energy from the Russians. And so there's still natural gas as well as some fuel oil, which is coming into to European Union. US also buys some of it. As you know, the first round was one in which they had wanted to put a cap on the price, apart from, of course, freezing all Russian assets in those countries, in the OECD countries. So I think there is some that is going to the Europeans as well. But of course, as we know, the bulk of it goes to China, which consumes perhaps about a half of the fuel oil. India is a significant importer still. Brazil, Egypt are amongst the principal purchasers. But I also think there is another aspect of Western imports from Russia, which is of fissile material for the nuclear power plants. And Russia is a key supporter of enriched uranium for Western nuclear power plants, which is also of considerable value. So I don't know who all this is meant to target, because if it also targets the European countries, that would be something that is on an equal level playing field. But it is not very clear at this moment, because I think the Americans are still discussing this internally. I personally do not support this idea of either primary sanctions or secondary sanctions. And we can talk more about the secondary sanctions in a moment. But I don't support this because I do believe that we should not move towards such ultimatum. And I'm not saying that because Dmitry Medvedev has said so and Lavrov has said so as well in today. But this is not the way to go ahead. I think we need negotiated settlements. We need to have a rule of law that applies, because the entire global trading system is being turned upside down.
Indeed. Ambassador Bhattacharya, but perhaps, it's forcing countries to work out deals with the United States much faster. And how effective can these trade deals be with the U.S.? Is there going to be compliance in that sense, or is there going to be realignment? People are just going to say, forget about it.
So I think we'll see both of these. In this one as well, there are two developments, because on the one hand, the United States is autonomously negotiating with a range of countries on trade deals, which is in response to the retaliatory tariffs, that they have marked against a range of countries across the world. But in this specific instance, there is this mention of secondary tariffs. And as you mentioned, an astronomical figure, which really makes no sense. If one were to start counting numbers, one can go up to very high numbers. But these don't make sense in the real world. So I think on the one hand, the one that is happening about the bilateral negotiations, apart from this Russian issue that has come up today, the one that is happening on bilateral things is something that is going to lead to trade deals. And I think they should endure. And I think in some ways they will lead to a revaluation of the trade baskets that both countries would have bilaterally. And it would also mean that there would be a certain early harvest. So in some ways, just as India is trying to negotiate with the United States a deal in which there's an expansion of trade, in which both sides can benefit. And at the same time, if there has to be a tariff, we can negotiate. And there's, of course, the option of 0 for 0. So I think the bilateral is one part. But to link it up with the secondary tariff is a very strange
Right, we'd have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs.